Hi, my name is Anna McNally, and I will be presenting the session today. I have over 15 years payroll experience, and I am a payroll compliance professional and a member of the National Payroll Institute. So there's been a lot of questions and a lot of interest about the Canadian Dental Care Plan. So for our session today, we're going to talk about it, not mainly on what the plan is, but how you as a payroll practitioner have to report on the plan. And then at the end, there will be some time for Q&A. So please put your questions, like Pradeep said, in the chat, and we'll get through as many as possible. If perchance there is a question that I'm not able to answer, you can definitely send it to us in the email and we'll get that answer back to you. So the Canadian Dental Plan was created by the federal government. Every Canadian deserves quality dental care. And apparently there's 1/3 of Canadians that are unable to visit a professional due to not having a plan. So the Canadian Dental Care Plan, termed or coined as CDCP, is a federal program that is intended to provide coverage for Canadian residents who do not have dental benefits and have a household income of less than $90,000 per year. This will be a phased-in approach by age, starting in 2024. So there are going to be some links at the end of the session that you could jot down that will actually give you some more information about what the Canadian Dental Care Plan is, as well as when and who can apply for it. And there's even a place there that you can apply. But our focus today is how we need to report on it for T4. So there are two additional boxes, one for the T4 and one for the T4A. So box number 45, which is the employer offered dental benefit, which is in box T4A. And anybody who downloads the T4 now, or when you're generating your T4s for 2023, this box has been added. So for the calendar year of 2023 and afterwards, it's mandatory to indicate whether the employee or any of their family members were eligible on December 31st of the given year to access any dental care coverage or coverage of dental services of any kind that you may offer. Subsequently, also for new T4 box A, which is in box 015, payer offered dental benefits, this box needs to be populated if you report any amounts in box 016. So here's an example of what the new T4 looks like. It was released in, I believe, November. So it is right underneath the year where you would have T4 box 45. For T4As, it's right also underneath the year, and it's box 015. And you only need to populate it if you populate box 16. So what do you populate it with? Well, there are 5 choices. If you're uncertain to what you should be doing, then this would be a good time to put some questions in the chat. But these are the codes that you would choose from. So code 1 is that the employee, as of December 31st of the reporting year, does not have access to dental care coverage or coverage of dental services of any kind. So if you don't have that, then you would report 1. If you do have access to a dental, so if you do allow employees to have access to a dental plan or coverage of any kind for only the employee, as at December 31st, then you would put code 2. So the majority of the people on this call could potentially offer dental services or dental plan to employees, their families, and their spouses, which would be code number 3. And then code number 4 is access to dental care insurance or coverage for just the payee and their spouse. So we are seeing some more plans are coming out where it's not all encompassing family. It's either employee and spouse or employee independent. So that's what code 4 and 5 are. So code 4 would be the employee or the payee. Sorry, it's not employee because T4A, it's not necessarily an employee, it could be just a payer, but it's the payee and their spouse. And code number 5 would be the payee and dependents. So one of these have to be applied. Now, because this is short notice, there is a stipulation that if you leave this blank, For only 2023, they will automatically assume it is a coverage code 1. But in future years, it is mandatory that you have to fill out box 45 or 015 on the T4A. So here are a couple of useful links. These links will be shared because this video is being recorded and will be posted on our site between now and the end of January, mainly because items change. And of course, in January, we're going to have another webinar that's going to cover the CPP enhancements, the CPP2. We will also review some of this again. And these web links will be available. So one of them is just if you're curious about what is the Canadian Dental Care Plan. So there's the latest release here that was released in September 6th of 2023. Then the next link of the Dental Care Plan will actually give you a much higher level information about it that will also give you links to the phased in approach of how it's going to be how it's going to be rolled out to the different age groups over the next little while. And then of course the T4 statement is the new T4, which is T20 2023, that includes that box. And by the way, when you do look at the T4 statement T2023, it does have the new CPP boxes in it. They will be blank for reporting for 2023, so you do not have to worry about that. But T4 box 45 has been added. Now I'm going to do a quick poll here because I do have Sage 300 up on my screen and I'm going to go through what this looks like in Sage 300. So I want to do a poll of how many individuals on this call use Sage 300 Payroll. So Pradeep, if you can open the poll.
Yeah, it's live.
Perfect. Are we getting good responses?
Yes, 96% yes, 3% no, and 1% unsure. So I'm just closing the poll now. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so before I actually open up Sage 300 and show you where you're going to be able to select one of these codes and then perhaps show you what it looks like on the T4 when you're generating T4, are there any questions in the queue?
We have 3 questions. The very first is, if we don't offer dental, everybody is code 1.
That is correct.
The next one is, if our plan offers dental to pay or spouse and dependents, but the pay only paid enrolls in individual coverage, do we record as only the pay versus as option 3?
If I understand the question correctly, so as of December 31st, if the employee has access to the plan, whether they have access as the payer, the dependent, and the spouse, and whether they take advantage of it or not, then it would be code number 3.
Perfect. There is another question. If any employee could receive benefits for their spouse and dependents, but does not have one or other, should code 3 be used, or should code 4 or code 5 be used based on whether they have a spouse or a dependent?
It doesn't go by what the employee has, it goes by what the employer offers. So if the employer offers only for employee and spouse, then you would select code 4. But if the employer offers for all 3, regardless of what the employee chooses, then it would be code 3.
All right, there's another question. Who reports on box 45, the employer or the employee?
It's the employer. Does the employer offer it to the employee?
Another. Does it matter if employee has dental for only part of the year?
It will matter at the end of December 31st. So if they had a dental plan from January 1st to, let's say, June, but they don't have it available in December, on December 31st, then that would be no. They do not have access to it. If the employee chose not to, I think I made a mistake here. If the employee was had access to it, meaning the employer still gave them as an offering, but the employee chose not to have it. They only had it for part of the year and then said they don't want to have it anymore. It's still a number 3.
Does it matter who pays for benefit?
So no.
Next question. If employee did not join our group benefit plan but provided coverage but provided covered by other insurance plan, what code should I use?
So if you provide the plan and your employee decided not to take advantage of it through you, but maybe through a spousal, for example, you would still use number 3 because you are offering it to them. Whether they choose to take it or not is not a factor. It's do they have it available on that date?
Next question. We have two separate payrolls, one which staff does not have benefits and one which does. The one payroll would be code 1 and code other is code 3 for the other with benefits.
Correct. Correct. So if you've got some employees that are part-time or casual and they don't qualify at December 31st, they would be a 1. But then you have employees that do have it available, whether they take advantage of it or not, that would be a 3.
Next question. If someone leaves before December 31st, are code 1 if the employer offers?
They would be a code 1 because they are no longer your employee. And that's a really good question because if an employee is no longer with you, yet you're doing a T4 for the employee, and even when they were with you, they took advantage of the benefit, they're no longer with you. So it's not available to them anymore. That would be a 1. And same applies to, let's say, somebody who is on a maternity leave and they are paying into their benefits and they are taking advantage of their benefits, then even though they're not working, they are still being offered that as of December 31st and they are taking advantage of it, then that would be a 3.
Next question. I'm hoping we don't need to manually do this. How does the information appears on the revised T4?
On the revised T4, I'm not sure I understand what you mean by revised T4, but what I'd like to do now, if you don't mind, is actually show you what it would look like in Sage 300. And then you could, if you have any other questions, then you can ask those questions. Okay, so there's a couple things you need to know. Let's pause on the questions right now. So when your tax tables, January 1st, 2024 tax tables get installed, they will get installed and put those new boxes in. Not only are they going to be in the T4, but you're going to see them in the employee's profile. So when the tax table gets installed, it's going to default to code number 3. It's going to assume that most Canadian, or I guess Sage assumes that most Canadian employers provide dental services to the payee, to their spouse, and to their dependents. So it's going to default to code 3. So those of you that offer it, then you can leave it as is. You would only need to modify for those employees who have left throughout the year, who do not have access to the plan as at December 31st of the reporting year. And where you are going to be able to do that is when you bring up your employee up on the screen, that information is going to be found under the Other tab. So when you click on the Other tab, you're going to see dental benefits, and then there's going to be 2 boxes below that. So the employer offered, this one here is the one that is going to affect your T4 box 45. Payer offered is going to affect T4A box 015. So when you drop these down is where you're going to see the different offerings. So offer 1, there's no dental plan of any kind or coverage. The number 2 is payee only, which would be the equivalent of the employee or whoever is paying for it. Number 3, all-encompassing spouse, dependents, and payee. And then payee and spouse and payee and dependents. So that's where you're going to see it. So just as a reminder, when the tax tables get installed, number 3 is going to be the offered. So it's going to be the default for T4, and for anybody who is using T4As, it's going to default to 1. That is the only thing that you're going to be to change. So those of you who offer for all your employees, you just have to make sure that anybody who's left, you're going to change this to a 1. Now, if you have no dental, if you don't offer it, you are going to have to go in and change these from a 3 to a 1. Now, depending on the volume of employees you have, Sage did create these two tables or these two fields to be updated with an import export. So you can export the information, update it in an Excel environment, and then import it back in so that you don't have to update one-on-one. So if you've got 3, 4, 5, 1,000 or plus employees and you have to make an update to all of them, it could be pretty onerous. So your Sage consultant or your BAASS consultant can definitely help you with that by exporting it out, and then you can modify it and they can easily be imported in. Okay, is there any questions in the queue?
What if employer offers, but the employee did not join the plan?
That would be a 3.
All right. So if any employee terminate in June and had dental up then, but not after, we would put in not covered for December 31st, 2023.
Correct, that would be a number 1 for that employee.
When will the next new tax table will be installed?
So the tax table for January 2024 was released. It is available as of Monday. So if you haven't already made arrangements to get the tax table installed, you can do so by going to BAASS.com, selecting support, and then there's a link there, and I can show you on the screen. There's a link there that says that you can sign up or schedule your tax table. You will answer a list of questions there, and then we will schedule that for you. If you are somebody that does your own tax tables, installs them, activates them yourself, then you would have to go to Sage Customer Portal, enter your ID, and then you'll be able to access them to download and install.
Next question. If company pays full amount of dental, what do you put in payer offered box?
You don't need to put anything into the payer offered box. That is for T4A.
Okay. If we offer dental, but the employee is only enrolled after the probationary period, would they end up being classified as option 1?
If they are still within their probation period, even though you offer it, but they are not able to enroll in it, that would be a 1.
Okay. Can we change the default to code 1?
Unfortunately, you cannot.
If an employee is single, has employer offered dental care, it is still 3, correct?
Yes, if the employer offers dental for employee and family members and spouse, but you are single, it's still considered that they're offered for 3.
Next, I don't have the part of the dental benefits on my Sage 300 software.
So this dental benefit that you're seeing on the screen will only appear after your tax table has been installed.
Okay. What about if the employee are union members? These employees get their coverage from the union.
Then that if they don't get their coverage, well, I guess the question is, it would be a 1 because it's the union that's providing that coverage, not the employee or the employer.
Okay. If an employee is on provision and has not qualified for the benefits by December 31st, is that code 1 or 3?
Code 1.
Okay. An employer offers the dental plan, but the waiting period is 12 months. When an employee is waiting to be eligible, is it 1 or 3?
It would be a 1 because they do
Yeah.
not qualify. So the key here is the employer offers a dental plan, whether it's 1, 3, or 4. It offers a plan, but can the employee access it? And if the answer is no, because they haven't finished their probation, or no, because they're part-time and they can't, it's not for part-timers, or the employee is no longer with you, or they just retired and they're no longer with you, then the answer is 1. if they have access to it. So sometimes you do have a retiree that even though they've been retired, they still are on your plan, then that would be that they still have access to it. Then they at December 31st, even though they're no longer working, if they're still on the plan, then that would be a 3 or 4 or 5, depending on what you offer. If that person is on a leave of absence but they still have access to medical, or not medical, dental, then that would be a 3 or 4 or 5. It's basically what they have access to on December 31st of the reporting year.
Okay, next question. Can the dental benefits code automatically change if an inactive or termination date is entered?
That would be lovely, but no, it does not do that at this time. This is fairly new. Perhaps maybe next year, Sage could tie it into that code. That would be fantastic. I'll actually write that down and let Sage know that that was something that customers would like to have the opportunity to have. So for
Okay,
now, no, but that's a great suggestion.
okay, next question. We issued two separate T4s for those staff who were not on benefits. Then when they qualify for benefits, they receive a second T4. Would both T4s be a 3 as the staff is now receiving dental benefits?
I don't understand why you would be giving two T4s. So you'd have to, if you don't mind, maybe qualify that question a little bit better, or perhaps email it to us.
Okay, next. Do we have to change each employee to a different default manually, one at a time?
So there is an option that yes, you can do one at a time. However, if you have a lot of employees and you have to change the option, you can export the file. So there is an option to export. And I'm just going to quickly show you here that you can send out an export. And under the employee tab, the fields that you need to update are at the very, very bottom. So you have the payer offered and the employer offered. So if you want to export all your employees out, modify these two fields. You do want these two fields in Excel. You can then import them in. And you can contact BAASS ahead of time if you want us to do that for you, meaning we could export the list, you can update the list, and then we can import it in. Or if everyone on your plan should be a 1 as opposed to the default 3, we don't need you to modify that. You can just let us know, and then we would modify that and import that for you.
Next question. What is the significance of filling out box 45 with a wrong code?
If you, for any reason, made a mistake and you forgot to update an employee, the reason why that code is populated is so that if someone wants to apply for those benefits, they would have to have a registered, or they would have to have a TD1 or T4 that has already been processed, so that they could see if somebody does have access to a dental plan and they're trying to get additional benefits. So that's the whole purpose of it, so that people who apply for the benefit are not also receiving the benefit through their employer. But if you make a mistake, I'm not quite sure what the consequences or what that would be like from the CRA. This is still very new. So all I can say to you is, to your best ability, update the boxes to the best of your ability. If there is a mistake and you have to be contacted to verify, then I'm sure you'll be contacted by CRA or the plan administrator if necessary. But try your best to update to the correct box. And don't forget, this is new this year, but we will be asked for this information for future years until such a time as it's not required.
Okay, next question. What is the difference between employer offered and the payer offered?
The difference really is employer is that this is an employee of yours, Whereas you have a payer, which is somebody who could be a subcontractor that you're paying through Sage 300. They're not an employee, but you're paying them through payroll, and then you have to issue them a T4A. So that's the difference. Is employer offered is for your employers are offering this to you, whereas the payer is you're a subcontractor and the payer, not an employer, is offering that benefit to you. Because you could be in a situation where you have a consultant, let's say, who's working for your organization. They're not an employee, but they are a consultant, or they are a temporary worker, and your employer does offer them the benefit, but because they are not their employer, they are the payer. So it's just a different terminology.
Okay, next question. The box 45 is not yet in the current T4. How are we going to report this reporting year?
It is. So the T4s that are available now on the CRA website and with the new tax table, the Sage tax table, do have the T4 box 45 available. If you print your T4s now and you don't see it, that's because you don't have the latest tax table. And if you go online, that's the only T4 that's available right now. It's called T2023.
I believe we are running out of time. We have 1 minute left, and I hope we covered most of the question, but it's still like there are a lot of questions. After this webinar, we will send a thank you mail and answering all the questions.
So I'm
And
just going to
mhm.
quickly run a T4 option here. So I do have the new tax tables installed. And as you can see from my setup here, I'll make this a little bit bigger for you. So we have this test employee called Marilyn. Marilyn is a number 1. Here's my box 45. And if I scroll down, we have another test employee, Bloom, and Bloom is a number 3. Box 45. So I have my tax tables installed. If you want to know, do you have your tax tables installed for 2024? When you open up your Sage 300, you can go to Help, you can go About, and then you can click on System Information. And as you scroll down, this is the IDs in alphabetical. So you're going to go to C's, and you want Canadian tax table. So anything with a red check mark means that is the version of the software that is currently being used in the system. And as you can see from mine, I have January 1st, 2024. And because I have January in here, I have the new T4 and access to T4 box 45 and T4A box 015. So thank you very much for participating. We will be posting this on our website. And Pradeep, are we going to be sending an email with the link?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
if there was no question, if we didn't answer your question today, is there going to be a comments that they can add to after, Pradeep?
Yes, we will send a mail and answering all the questions.
Okay, great. Great. Well, thank you
Uh,
very much.
yeah. And thank you for attending our BAASS Connect webinar on what you need to know about Payroll T4 Box 45. All attendees will receive a copy of the webinar recording in a follow-up email. To help us improve our future webinars, we kindly ask all attendees to participate in our webinar survey attached in the webinar recording. Thank you again for joining us today.